So there's a bill going through the Houses of the Oireachtas at the moment, and basically it's the Online Safety Bill 2021. So Niamh Smith, the local TD for Cavan and Monfine for TD, is the chairperson of that committee. And I just kind of, I'm fearful, as is expressed many times to politicians and things like that, I'm fearful that they will use it to undermine people criticising politicians and things like that. Or things like that, because again, people are entitled to their free speech. To challenge authority, in other words, to challenge politicians on different points and say, you promised this and you didn't deliver. Because that has to work with you both ways too. But there is a certain aspect threatening people and things like that. That's not, obviously not tolerated. That's couldn't be tolerated. But I am hopeful in a way, and I did mention a good bit to a few senators. That I am hopeful. I am hopeful with this bill. I'm hopeful that it can, particularly legal content, as I said, harmful things. Again, as it says here in the bill itself, particularly the how to stop children see harmful content, and we do really have to do that. And that's the one thing I really hope to see, that children will be protected from harmful content on the internet, because it can pop up randomly. Again, I tested that many times. There's fierce disturbing things that you could come across. Again, randomly. You just randomly come across it. There was one day I was on YouTube, and I know there's a YouTube app, and I do appreciate this YouTube app for children. I never tried it, but on the only YouTube, say if they had an only YouTube and they didn't have a children's one, there was I would say very disturbing video, very disturbing video of somebody hitting a dog. Now again, I don't think I even have to explain how fire that is for somebody to do. And it was recently uploaded. It was about 3 hours uploaded, and that had nearly 100,000 views. Even though people in the comments were criticising the person for doing it. Again, that is very harmful. And again, the thing about if a child sees that, because again, a young child wouldn't know what's wrong and what's right. We don't know. Maybe again, some older children would. But a young child, take 4 or 5 year old, maybe wouldn't know. It might hit their dog, might hit their cat, and think it's okay. And again, and that might disturb them too. And again, thinking back in my childhood, when I was younger, things that would disturb me, would frighten me. It would frighten me, really would. And I tell you straight, I would have been a very scared child. And I'll be totally honest with you. And then obviously the pornography and things like that, that it does come up on YouTube too. It's regularly come up. Like again, sometimes I sign out of my YouTube account to look and see what comes up in my out of my YouTube account. And some things are very vile, and some things are very sexualized and things like that. But which is the generation now is just sexualized, everything's sexualized, and harmful content too. But going back to things, but again, it is to do with the data commissioner too. They're talking about getting a data commissioner, online safety commissioner, which obviously I recommend. And obviously, I hope it does go well. But again, but the thing is, and again, Niamh Smith did say it, the key ambition is to protect children. And again, I really, really hope that is the core purpose. Not trying to silence people for having an opinion about a politician that the politician doesn't agree with. Again, the politicians, you're entitled to say to your politician, I won't vote for you in the next election, I voted for you before, you never done anything for my community, you never done anything for me. You're entitled to say that, but again, you're entitled to say it in a way, but not abuse the person. Like again, I've seen people abuse politicians, threaten their children. I've seen that. That's obviously not tolerated. I wouldn't even do that to the scum, to the people that. I wouldn't even do it to a prisoner of Mountjoy, to be totally honest with you. Because again, even bringing somebody's family into it, whatever you have about the person themselves, bringing somebody's family into the children especially, it's not tolerated. It can't be tolerated. It really can't be tolerated, because children is such a precious thing. We don't want anything to happen to their children or anybody's children. Whatever you have an issue with them, that's up to them. But don't threaten people's families. But yeah, let Niamh Smith speak for a second. This was unknown, and I'll leave a link in the description.
Young people can be particularly vulnerable on social media platforms, and up to this point, there's been no retribution for the online platforms that allow for disinformation, harmful content, financial harm in terms of the information that they give out. There's been no repercussions for them. So we're hoping that this pre-legislative scrutiny will put in place guidelines, more importantly, that it will put in place a media commissioner, an online safety commissioner, and that person will be as powerful as the Data Protection Office.
Right, so as you hear there, particularly children too, and obviously data commission and things like that, the online safety commission or whatever. So I am hopeful. Again, I am hopeful, but again, I'm very suspicious at the time. But at the same time too, that they could use it to stop people from the free speech and things like that. But but again, I'm hopeful. But totally honest, I'm hopeful because we do have to take care of our children. And I will talk about I might even do it this evening if I get a chance. We'll talk about. There's something I wanted to talk about for a while. And how it influences people, how social media influences people and things like that. I might talk about that. If we get a chance this evening. But yeah, just to say, I'm hopeful about it. I really do hope it will protect our children. It will protect our children from harmful content. And things like that. Hopefully, please God, and it will the companies, Facebook, the big industrial places, the big social media platforms will face consequences. Along with the people who upload these things, they have to face consequences. They have to face justice. And again, obviously, I don't. Again, this information, again, just to say, it's very hard. Again, it's very hard to know, because again, this is the thing I always said. You don't know who. Again, it is hard to explain, because people are entitled to opinion. Again, you can't silence somebody's opinion. Say they think, I don't know, that the world is made of pineapples or something like that. You can't just say that's conspiracy theory or something like that, because it's their view, I suppose. And again, who can really argue if they think it's made of pineapples? Even though you could say here's a chart, it isn't. Here's the scientific evidence. Here's somebody speaking about his professor. X, Y, Z, here's an astronaut or something like that. Again, it's their view, but again, it depends. I suppose again, sometimes things go over. But again, I just it's way out of my league, I suppose, talking about it. But again, people are entitled to free speech, and again, that's something I don't want to be trampled on. People's free speech. But again, you have to be respectful to people. That's above all else. To treat people with a small bit of respect. Because at the end of the day, as I always say, but again, maybe I'm just too nice and too kind to people. That we are human. We are still human. We have. I would hope some politicians will have a soul. Some of them in this country could not have a soul, but we still have a soul. We have a heart, and again, we're only here for a short time on earth. And again, we will be judged when we die. How good we are to people, and that's when the judgment does come. So yeah, take care, everybody.